Today we're going to do two things. We're going to investigate our gear train, and then we're going to build another gear train. We're just going to add another gear, a larger gear, but we're going to just add another gear to it. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make sure that our handle is attached. I'm just going to stick my handle on, you can see here, I've got my gear train. I'm just going to put my handle here on this first one, or the one in the center. It doesn't really matter, to be honest. And then when you put your handle on, you want to make sure that the little pokey is poking out towards you. Otherwise, it's going to rub against your flat piece of metal there. So we got our gear train going. So that is a really beautiful gear train. Now, to investigate this gear train, what we're going to do is we're going to take some pieces of tape. And so on your tray, I've given you a piece of tape. And we're just going to we're just going to rip off a little piece of tape, and you're actually going to tape it onto your gear. We're going to just put it right here. And then I want another piece of tape on the other gear where they touch. Again, we don't need scissors. We're just using our hands. We're just going to put it right there. So now we've got these two pieces of tape. So now it's going to just help us to see the rotation a little bit better of our gear train. So as we spin our gears, I want you to notice what direction they're spinning. So I want you to notice that as we spin our gears, they're both going the exact same speed, and that's because they're the same size. So they're both going the exact same speed. If I go so slow, or if I go really, really, really fast. Right, they're still going the exact same speed, but the direction is opposite. This one is going that way, and this one is coming the other way. So I want you to just notice the speed and direction. Now we're going to add one more gear to our gear train, and we're going to see if that pattern continues. Now the next gear we're going to add is this big chunky. I think it's got 84 teeth, to be honest. I'm not sure, but it's a chunk-a-munch. So we got to make room for it. And I can see there's not really room over here, so I'm going to put it over here. Now I'm going to dry fit it. So again, I know I need to use bearing blocks. I know I need to use my screws and my cups nuts, but I'm going to dry fit it to make sure it goes, so it, like the teeth mesh. I want to make sure my teeth mesh. So I'm going to insert my axle into the little hole. You could see this one. It has like this little extra piece of plastic here. That ain't bad. And now I'm just going to poke my axle into one of my holes. I'm just dry fitting. I'm just seeing if it fits. That's all I'm doing. It's not permanent. And while this is a good, this is kind of good, but it's too low so that my gear rubs on my platform, and we can't have that. So I have that in the second hole down. You can see I have that in the second hole down. So I need one hole up. So I know I need, with this gear, because it's so large, I need to put it in the top hole. And then again, I'm just dry fitting it. I just want to make sure that yes, so my gears mesh well, so I know that's a good spot for it. So it looks like it's like 1, 2, 3, 4 holes over from my red gear. So where my red gear ends, looks like it's 1, 2, 3, 4 holes over. It's the top. Now, because again, these are axles, and anytime an axle goes through metal, we have to use the bearing block. So again, just like my previous, I'm going to put my bearing blocks in. They're going to go on the inside, and then I'm going to screw them in. I'm going to take my gear off and set it aside, but I'm going to keep my axle there so I know where I'm putting it. I'm gonna put my bearing block. I want my axle to go in the center. And I want my screws, the screw head is gonna go in the center, and then the tail end is gonna go poke out the other side. And I'm just gonna get both of those ready. And then I'm using, again, my Keps nuts. Again, they have the little metal starfish, and the starfish goes towards the metal that acts as a washer to give it extra friction so that it stays tight. Now, because I don't have anything on this side yet, I can take my Allen wrench or my star drive wrench or my L wrench. I could take it and I could poke it through the hole and then insert it into my screw head, and then I can tighten. So I can do it that way. Again, and I can only do that because I don't have anything on this side yet. So feel free to do that if that's what. So again, I'm just gonna poke that through here. I'm gonna engage my screw, and I'm just gonna tighten it in. So now that I have that one done, now I won't be able to do it on the other side because this screw's blocking it. So I'm gonna have to use the short side, and that's fine. And I have to make sure I have enough screws, and I didn't grab them. So let me make sure I get them. There we go. So again, the screw head is gonna go this side. We have to use a bearing block. Anytime an axle goes through metal, we use a bearing block. So I'm just gonna poke this out. It looks like that's good spacing. Put that back in there. Again, my screw, go through each of those. Take the time it takes. And then again, over here, I'm just going to tighten my Keps nuts. Always, always, always make sure that the metal starfish goes towards the metal. If you put them the opposite side, if you put them backwards, it won't hold and your robot will fall apart. So you just want to make sure. I use my thumb or my finger and I hold the screw with one hand, and then because I like hold it still, and then I use my other hand to like tighten it. And then the same when I tighten it with my L wrench. Now again, because I can't stick my L wrench all the way through, I'm gonna have to use the short side, and it's righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. Now it does fit. So I know Shabaj is gonna complain like it won't, but I promise you it does. You just have to be kind of careful. So it may take you a moment to get it just perfect, and that's okay. Take the time it takes. So hold it and just give that a little tighten. Again, I'm holding it. I'm holding the Keps nut with my fingers while I tighten the screw. And it takes a moment to make sure that your Allen wrench engages fully with your screw, and it's fine. Just take the time it takes. It's not gonna get better unless you put the time in. So now I have my axle. I'm gonna go ahead and pop my gear on. And then of course we have to use our rubber shaft collars. We're gonna use 2 rubber shaft collars, one in the front, and then one goes in the back. The rubber shaft collars, they just kind of slide on, and they do have a little friction, so you kind of have to like poke them. But the rubber shaft collars just help make sure everything stays. Your axle doesn't fall off your build. There we go. So now we have our second gear train. We've got 2 reds and a green. Again, we're gonna take a little piece of this tape. Now we're gonna investigate it. I'm gonna take a little piece of this tape, and I'd like you to put another little piece right here on the other side of this middle of the red one, right there. And then another little piece at the green where the green and the red touch. So make sure you have your handle. Your handle could go on any of the gears. It really truly doesn't matter. Whichever handle is on, we call that the drive gear, but it doesn't really matter for these purposes right now. So I've got my 3 gears in a gear train. I've got my bearing blocks on both sides. My axles aren't wobbly. Everything looks good. I'm just double checking. I'm gonna make sure all of my screws are nice. I don't want anything to jiggle. Now, when you spin it, I want you to pay attention to where I want you to look for direction and speed. Direction and speed. We already know with the 2 red ones, they go the same speed but opposite direction. Let's take a look at what the green and red ones do. What do you think is going to happen when it comes to speed? Which one of these is going to spin the fastest? And then let's take a look at direction. We know these 2 go opposite directions. So what about this? What is he going to do? Let's find out. So I'm going to spin it and let's just take a look. Our tape helps us to see speed and direction. Finally lined up again. So first of all, let's look at direction. Direction's kind of easy to see. So take a look. What do you notice about the direction? It's really easy to see right there. I really want you to notice that the ones on the outside are going the same direction. And the one on the middle is going opposite of those 2. So you can really see that when it's right there. If you really look at that tape that's on the green and the outside red one, if you really take a look at that tape, you can see these 2 are going the same direction and then this one's going opposite. Now let's take a look at speed. I'm going to go faster. I'm going to go slower. Which of these gears is going fastest? The green or the red? We know those 2 go the same speed. We saw it earlier. So we know red goes the exact same speed. But what about green versus red? Which of those 2 is going faster? Which of those 2 is going faster? I want you to notice that the red gear is going faster than the green. It has more rotations per spin. It's going faster. So a great way to also look at that is if you just take this one off. I'm just going to take that off so it doesn't confuse us. And then let's take a look at those. I'm going to take this piece of tape off so it doesn't confuse us. And we're just going to take a look at those, okay? So let's take a look at how many spins the tape does, okay? How many spins does the tape do? There's one for the red. When the red does a full rotation, the green hasn't fully rotated yet. Now the green has a full rotation. The red's at the second one and the green's not. Now the green's at a second rotation. Now the red's at a third rotation. The green's still not. Now the green is, but the red just did a fourth rotation. 5 rotations for red, 5 for green, 6 for red. There we go, finally. So I want you to notice that the size of the gear makes the speed of the rotation change. This is true for gears and wheels. So the size of your gear will change your speed, and then the number of gears in a gear change will change your rotation. So size for speed, number for direction. That is our second gear train. You did a really great job with that. Our next build is going to be a chain drive. So we're going to build a mechanism. Great job with that. So again, today's major learning was about size determines speed, and how many you have determines the direction that they rotate. Great job.